This time on the My Venture channel, we're going to do part 2 of this brilliant Toyota 4Runner build. We're going to take a look at just about everything that we can in the back of this thing. You guys are going to want to stick around. There's a lot here and it's going to be fantastic.
So let's just get right into it. First thing we got here is a fairly organized drawer setup. And the reason a lot of this stuff is like it is because this is built in a Toyota 4Runner, and in the 4Runners the lift gate, the window drops down and I can gain access without opening the gate or my swing out and gain access to my air compressor, which I use frequently for airing the tires up. I keep a pair of soft shackles, and my tree strap saver is underneath the air hose back in here. Then I can reach down and grab a couple hard shackles, D-rings if I need them, all through the back window without opening this up, which is good if you ever been stuck and you can't open your swing gate. That's the reason that's built like that. None of my recovery gear you're going to find inside of these drawers of any type, and we'll get into that and show you. So the first part of this is when I built this was all built in pieces. This took me about 3 years to get it here. Not 3 years every day, but just 3 years in length. It was a square that I started with and then started adding pieces. The side panels are cabinets, and they're divided by a divider, which helps keep structure of the sidewalls. And up at the top is all my soft products, so nothing will break at the window. And underneath is a lot of my heavier stuff. Inside of the door, I utilized a couple pair of eyeglass holders for my glasses and use it for my silverware, which is just kind of recycled, because most of the stuff in this build was resalvaged stuff. This aluminum, all of this trim work, these were pieces that I salvaged or that was given to me off of someone else's job that they salvaged little pieces, and I just bent, twisted, polished them and made them to fit my specification. This was what's called the cardboard CAD build. Everything just cardboard first and then put onto the material. All of the walls, the main structures, were built with 1/2 inch birch plywood. I used 1/2 inch to keep the weight down. None of the trim pieces of this metal is thick. It's very thin, but it's built with a lot of rigidity, with braces and stuff, and it keeps the weight down, and I can keep it pretty strong, and it holds up pretty good. This section up here, which is 2 of Front Runner's cabinets. This is a rollout, and it has 2 cabinets up here, 2 totes. I keep all my canned goods up here, my food canned goods. It's all food. Some of my breads and stuff in the container behind it, and that slides out, locks into position there. This section, of course, is my refrigerator. I built a table that sits on top of the handles because flat space is just so important when it comes to doing a kitchen build out thing, and we're going to get into all the flat spaces that I could squeeze out of this build. The fridge pulls out, of course, all the way here, and I can gain pretty good access to the fridge. It has 65 quart Dometic. That's been working out pretty good. It is a very tight fit if you look up at the top. but everything here was built to fit the components. Just because I built everything crooked, mostly because I can't see straight. So the fridge in itself sits in here pretty snug. I wound up building this drawer slide myself, so this is just built out of aluminum angle. This is not purchased. This is, once again, things that I built. These little brackets here were just brackets that came in a bag off of, I think it was a fan or something that just wasn't used, and I utilized them to hook my straps and reinforce my aluminum brackets for my slide. The table, there's this handle. So this table pulls out, and this is a great surface. Now it comes out all the way, but for the most part this is where it stays. It just lives here, and I use this counter space like that. But this is not just a table. This is a storage table. And what I mean by that is the table actually is storage as well. So on the bottom side is a couple marshmallow pokers, little dustpan, and this right here is my griddle. So my griddle for cooking on the stove, and because the griddle sits flat and needs a space, I had to remove the griddle handles, and if you look right here, that came off the griddle. So I took the handles off the griddle and used them on the table. So that's just kind of the things that I do, and reutilize all this stuff that I have. Just because nothing needs to go to waste if you know how to use it. It slides back in here, just like that. And the flies are flaking. This section over here is 2 5-gallon water containers, also by Front Runner. They have there's running water here, just a little spigot. I don't have anything to catch the water, but that's got 5 gallons, and that works out pretty good there. And I put my wash container and stuff right there, and I'll show you how that works once we open this other end. We're going to push that in here. These aren't just D-rings, so like anything, if you can get more use than just one, it's a really good thing. For today, they're handles. We're just going to use those, and we're going to pull out the drawer setup. So this drawer comes out in a couple sections. The first section here, and I use this section just by itself mostly when I'm on the trail and want a quick sandwich. I'll extend it this far. When I get to wherever I'm going or stop for the night, I extend it, and it just kind of grows in sections like this. And so you wind up going this much, and then another section here. The tops, this bamboo cutting boards, they just pop off. This one sets here. You close this gap up, you drop this little lever, this little hook, and these, to my viewers, are all stuff that I've made. So this ain't nothing at Walmart or the Handy Hardware. These are things that I made. Now you have more counter space. Not only do you have this counter space, but you also have the other stuff over here I talked about, which is the table. Now the table utilizes a backsplash that I've added in there as well. And the reason that is because inside of here, let's see how that works. This one rolls back, then you can gain access to the drawers, which is just my pots and pans and stuff like that all live inside of this drawer. And then this pops open, of course, and then you have your sink for the water, which is just there. This, then you can roll this back. You have your counter space back here. And then of course when I'm not using the sink, it has a nice spot underneath here. The Camp Chef stove is my stove of choice, a little fire extinguisher, and it lives right here, a little bracket that I made and duct taped because I had duct tape. And it just sits on any edge here or wherever I put it, and it's very easy to get to, but we'll set it right there. And just in case, and I have a fire extinguisher inside. And a couple pot holders, and they got a little hook back here, and I usually throw them down here and get a little grit, so that helps clean off any old food. It helps. That sits there. So while we're over here, we can get into this little get up. So this is a little knife holder, and I put it here because because I just didn't want to muck around in the drawers getting it and cut. So you just take it and pop it up, and it just slides out. And this is for preparing my fruits and vegetables, whatever. And it's just got a nice spot in this little plastic holder right here. And then I can, it just sets back in here. A little spring gizmo with a little hook because it matches. And then just the cover so you don't cut yourself. This gizmo here is off an old clipboard. This is from a clipboard that was in the garbage. I use that, and I'm going to show you, for my recycled garbage bag. Now, it doesn't have to be a Kroger bag. This can be from wherever, but
any bag will do.
Any bag will do. I put it here for my little garbage bag because now this is my cutting board, and when I'm cutting stuff, and I can just knock all the trimmings off inside of here, and then when that's full I can take it around in my spare tire holder, trash or roof. And that just sits there for the duration of time I'm here. Then you have the stove. We're going to get into the stove because this stove has just got a couple little options that's different than the rest. I have a little storage shelf because once again here's some more flat space, and flat space is so crucial, and that's why I'm showing you all this. This sits inside of the edge of the hinge. Nothing else I had to add other than that. And the reason you have a shelf there is because when you're cooking, you sit up here, you need a spot to put your spoons or your knives, and it's a nice little spot to do that, and it still frees up all your counter space without putting your knives that you just cook stuff. And then this thing pops out and I can wash it right in the wash container, so you're basically washing your counter. So we have counter space, counter space, counter space, counter space here as well. Up here, and once I pull the leveling pads out, I have a little shelf here, and then I have this counter space up here which is empty, and usually I put my spices or my coffee cup or whatever. I'm a AeroPress guy for coffee, so usually I just set that up when I'm set up for the night. So you have a fair amount of counter space, all built and designed by me. And we're going to get into some of the unique features of the counter space. This particular counter space, which is a rolling counter space, for those of you who like your summer fruits, and I like watermelon, muskmelon, it's very juicy, and many of you know who's ever cut it. So when I built this not for the fancy looks of these trim pieces, because it looks cool. but it's made to flip over. It sits like this. Now they're troughs. And when you cut your watermelon and stuff up here, you extend this over a little bit and the juices roll off and they roll on the ground and not in the drawer. Because anybody knows that cutting watermelon can be super juicy. So this is made so that the juices roll off on the drawer or on the floor and not inside the drawer. When you're done, you can rinse and wash this off. And this just sets back in and snaps back in. It's two uses, the inside and the outside. Once again, a couple good uses out of the very same counter, as well as this counter space, which is my bamboo. And when I cut my fruits and vegetables, I can count and then scoop them off in my bowl or my frying pan right there. So anybody that's making a build, you know, if you can consider utilizing your counters for multiple use, this is a good way. It doesn't have to be like this, but just a thought of how you can utilize a lot of space. My cook stove, over the years of camping over the years, you learn that cooking bacon and sausages and stuff that's really splattery, these short wind deflectors really just aren't adequate. So what I did is I built taller splash thing, and they sit flat inside the stove. You can close it up, and they just set in these grooves on each side, just like this. Now when I'm cooking my morning bacon or sausage, it doesn't splatter out inside of the rest of the drawer. And these lids, or these wind deflectors, serve as lids. So they fit my 10-inch grill, or my frying pans. They go right on top, as well as my pots. So not only are they wind deflectors / splatter preventers, they're also lids. And so they get a lot of good use out of something that just packs in and takes up no more space than the stove itself, because they set right on top, right inside, like that. So when you don't need them, you can send them in the back, just like that, and they're out of the way. So it's a good little add-on to anybody that has an enclosed cooking area, that you can take your stuff out, wash it really good before you put it away, especially if you're in bear country. You could use a little bit of grease on there, leave it at your neighbor's camp, and then you should be you should be good for the night.
Don't have to be faster than the bear.
You don't have to. Everything that I built, the purpose was to nothing touch the ground here. I can function quite well with everything here. This table, and mostly when I travel by myself, mostly in this truck, I put my chair here. I use this as my dining table, and then of course cooking and all my other amenities go on right in this section. This section serves not just as my kitchen, but I have what's called a cabana. It's a black chute that covers. It's the same thing as this screen covering, which I'll put a picture in the video and show you what that screen looks like. But I also have a cabana that covers this. So now it serves as my bathroom area. So instead of adding one of those pop-up bathrooms, this all gets pushed back in. These shelves then become my shower shelf, so I can use this back end as my shower area and put my soaps or whatever up here, put a tarp on the ground or something to catch the suds. If you look underneath the truck, I built a little blocker here, and this is for privacy, plus it keeps the wind in the winter time. I camp a lot in the winter, from blowing completely through. And it also, because this is a trifold, it actually serves as a around your fire pit, and it folds flat, simple to put away, very light. It has multiple uses. I built it small enough to fit underneath the truck, just like this, and this gives me a little privacy from that side if you're sitting here on your loo, as much as we don't like to talk about that, but and keeps some of the bugs. I mean, it's not sealed when you're using the screen, but it certainly adds to some wall protection. Most of it was built, well, it was really all built around the components, so I purchased the components. Everything else I built. Very specific to fit everything here. There is not a large cost in this build at all, very little. Actually, the drawer slides are your biggest cost. The wood was purchased a few years back before the pandemic, so wood cost wasn't a big factor. So the cost here is very little in the fact of the contents that's here. It's a very personal and a passionate build. Every piece of metal that got put in here was cut, polished, and bent by me, and it turned out the way it turned out because that's just the way it happened. Sort of like a painter painting and painting. They just look like they do. That's just as the way it got painted. And that's just how this build is. No build plans. If you want to know build plans, I don't have any. It was just pieces of cardboard cut, fit, until things just turned out. And it's really very tightly fit, and surprisingly nothing rattles. Nothing at all. Even the contents in this drawer fit well enough that they don't bounce around. So I off-road a lot with some of the groups that I've gone with, and we shake the trucks around quite a bit, and everything stays good. Every screw in this build is drilled and tapped. There is no wood screws. They all have, if you can look through, they all have nuts on them. Everything here is nutted, screwed and nutted. And the reason for that is so nothing moves.